Hey guys, welcome back to the channel as we continue the rehab of our Gen 1 Raptor.
Oh, come on. Oh, this is like the worst design ever.
You guys ever have problems with the power steering pump? Have a shop do it. SCTT. Don't get the house system. For those of you that are new, this is a 2014 Raptor. We've done a lot to this truck, so make sure you guys go check out this playlist with everything we've done. It's just really too much to cover. We've done a lot. If you want to see, go here. In today's video, we're going to address a couple items. We're going to address the brakes, and we're going to address the power steering pump, and we're also going to show you guys some of the clips of how we've actually taken this truck on the trails and really fallen in love with this thing. Now, brakes was one of those peace of mind items for me. She didn't really need brakes. But when we did our inspections, we noticed that some of them were a little thin, so I just wanted to change them out, get them a fresh set of pads and fresh set of rotors on there. Well, we turned the rotors. Okay, we got the truck on jack stands on all four corners. Talk about sketchy as fuck, guys. Back end wasn't so bad. Usually want to do that last because of the parking brake. Left our jack there as a safety too. Front end was sketchy as fuck because your lifting point is the lower control arm. But unfortunately, see, because of the angle that it does when it comes out, that meant that the jack wanted to slide that way when we took it out. That was quite sketchy putting this on, so we're putting some blocks under that because look how low that is. That is really low to the ground. And we got our jack there as well as a safety. I think that was sketchy, right?
Replace the brakes at a shop this time. Next time, whatever.
Now, we were going to paint the calipers, but the calipers were in really rough shape. I mean, in order for us to do it right, we would have required to completely strip them, send them out to be rebuilt, and then powder coat if we wanted them to look right again. So it honestly wasn't worth it. And I can't really leave my truck on blocks because, you know, my HOA kind of frowns on stuff like that. So I think in the future, we're going to either replace those and get them powder coat, or we're going to go with the big brake kit. We're going to look at a couple options. You know, Wildwood just released their kit. That's pretty affordable, so we may go with that. I don't know. We're just going to look at a few options here down the road. Next was the power steering. Now, this truck came with the HAL power steering system. Everything I read said that that's probably one of the best systems you can get for these trucks, but it's loud. And I mean, not just a little loud. I mean, like, this thing howls when you're going down the road. It groans every time you turn to the left. It's noisy. It's noisy to the point that it's distracting. Now, mine had a little bit of extra noise. If you guys remember when we got our exhaust, you turn it on, the first thing you heard was the pump. Now, we knew going into this that changing out the power steering was going to suck. I've seen a lot of videos on it. None of them showed the whole procedure. They all ended early, and I'm guessing out of frustration. And we found out why here as we started to do it ourselves. Here's what happened in those clips. Today I'm doing a job on the truck that I've been dreading on doing since we got it. We're replacing the power steering pump. My pump's very, very loud. The HAL pump's not supposed to be that loud. The job I've been dreading because of its location. Every video I've seen on it, they don't show it all because it's such a nightmare to get down there and change it. And the HAL pump's a little bit different and makes it that much more difficult. And on top of it, I got some lines that are pinched and I want to take address and reroute because they're going to become an issue down the road. And I also want to get that pump out and rebuilt. I know pumps are going to go out. The HAL pumps, you know, it's a very expensive kit. I think the pump itself is like $450. The pulley's $90. These pumps are very expensive, but they last a whole lot longer than the stock pumps do. And they're rebuildable. So rather than rebuild it and have the truck be down for a couple weeks and have to deal with possible contaminants getting in, I got a new pump. Keep the old one as a spare for whenever that one dies, and we're going to go swap it out. Changing out this pump is going to be a little bit more difficult because, see, it's all the way down there at the bottom. Barely see it there. But also, we got an extra plate. The supercharger plate, that's going to come off so we can get access to the belt, so we can release the belt and go from there. It's not going to be fun, guys. It's going to be a nightmare. I'm going to try to document it as best as I can, but unfortunately, I'm on my own today. Both my boys are working. They're actually contributing to society finally. They're both old enough. So I'm kind of on my own on this one, so wish me luck, guys. It's going to suck. Now, we ended up removing the front skid plate, cut out the plastic shroud. We didn't really need it. And we jacked up the truck a bit so that we could sit down under the truck and try to work a little bit more comfortably. We also removed the oil drip tray so that wouldn't keep poking us too, because I kept cutting my hand on it. So as you're looking down here, you have a bunch of pulleys. That right there is your tensioner. It has a 1/2 inch bit, so you can turn it, and you turn it towards the middle,
That should give us the room we need to take out the belt. So give it a try, sweetie.
What am I supposed to do?
Turn it towards that way, towards the little garage. Can you do it or no?
I don't know. I have to lean all the way over here, and I'm trying not to get fucking dirty, and I don't have the arm strength to do it.
Okay.
Hang on. Oh, I don't have the arm strength.
Now I won't let go. Oh, come on. Son of a bitch. This is like the most uncomfortable position to be in, too.
Yeah, I know.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Did it come out?
Yeah. Quite difficultly, but yes, it came out. Now I gotta take those two bolts out. I think those are the only two holding it in. We're about to find out though.
So these bolts unfortunately just kept spinning and spinning. Turns out that there's a nut behind each bolt and it's not welded on or oiled down or anything. Like none of that is threaded. So there's no space behind it either to get a wrench. So we had to get really creative with the wrench and tape, and it was just a nightmare just to try to get those bolts out. When we finally got those bolts out, after struggling for hours, and I'm not joking here guys, it took hours, the pump wouldn't come out. We could not get the pump out.
Oh, come on.
What? No more issues, honey. What?
What's it stuck on? There's not enough room for it to come out.
Seriously?
Yeah, it keeps hitting everything. Fucking hey!
What?
Oh, this is like the worst fucking design ever.
If it didn't come out?
I don't know. You can't win with this fucking thing.
After a 6-hour struggle, and I'm not joking there guys, 6 hours, we were finally able to get the pump out and get it swapped out. Now here's a couple tips to make removing this crap out easier. One, remove the pulley. Once you disconnect the belt, before you even start, remove this thing. It'll give you a ton of space. You can get a pulley puller from any of your local stores, and most of them will even rent it to you for free. We were able to get ours from O'Reilly's. Two, disconnect both of these lines that are connected to the pump. Disconnect both of them. There's very little space to do it, but just get in there and do it slowly. It's gonna suck. You're gonna end up doing like an 8 turn, 16 turn at a time, but disconnect both of those before you proceed. Next, you wanna disconnect the ABS module. Now that's that thing right there, that gray thing right there. That's the ABS module. It's held in by 3 bolts, 2 on the side, 1 on the top. Disconnect those. Be careful not to move it too hard because you got all your hard lines going into that, but basically you wanna disconnect that and move it out a little bit. It's only going to give you about 1 inch to ½ inch of space, but it's space you're going to need to remove that pump because there's no space under there. Once you've done all that, you've removed everything, you made this as small as you possibly can, then and only then will you be able to finally start wiggling it out. It's the only way guys. There's no way to do it to keep the stuff on. It just isn't, and it'll save you hours, and I mean hours of work. As far as installation goes, similar procedure to get it back in. You want to mount it, you want to connect your lines, then you want to put your pulley on. When to put your pulley on, don't put it all the way. If you notice, there's about an 1/8 of an inch gap, 1/4 inch to an 1/8 of an inch gap. You don't want to push it all the way. If you push it all the way, this will actually rub on the block. So this needs to be able to spin freely when you put it back in. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. Now, despite all of our efforts and spending 6 hours doing the swap, we actually didn't finish that day. It ended up getting dark on us, and we ended up doing the bleed procedure the next morning. Freaking power steering pump kicked my ass this weekend. I mean, it was awful, guys. Probably the worst design ever as far as the location and the stuff that's around it. 6 hours yesterday pulling that damn thing out, and then we put the new one in and it didn't quite fit. It just rustled. It sucked. You guys ever have problems with the power steering pump? Have a shop do it. And after all that, the new power steering pump is still loud. Not as loud as the old one, but still loud. So for those wondering, we did bleed the system. It's not going down anymore, and you can see there's no bubbles in there. We spent a lot of time this morning, spent a few hours this morning bleeding it and disconnecting the finnies down at the bottom. It's very difficult to access the finnies down there, but we did it all, and I think we got it all bled, but she's still loud. I don't know, guys, maybe it's another pulley. Maybe it's a supercharger that's loud. Maybe it's something else, I don't know. But it definitely sounds like the power steering pump. So we put that video up on Instagram out of frustration. I'm not a mechanic, guys. I know the suspension stuff. There's a reason why you guys don't see me working on these engines so much. You know, it's not my thing. One of my good buddies, Ray, who's SCCT, SoCal Trail Trekkers, SCTT. Yeah, I know you're watching, Ray. Ray recommended that we start taking a look at the pulleys and the tensioner, and a few other guys recommended after him too as well. So it's not just Ray, but Ray was the first. Make sure you guys go follow him too. You know, thank you to all you guys that recommended that. We ended up checking out the tensioner and well, here's what happened. So just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and got myself a new tensioner because check mine and mine was a little wobbly. So we're gonna go and swap it out and see if that's what's causing all of our noise. Fingers crossed. So this is the one that was in there. This is the new one. Spin this one. Spin that one. Spin this one. Yeah, it's a pretty big difference. I think this might be part of our problem right here. Any side-to-side movement? Yeah, there's definitely some side. Yeah, that one's pretty worn out. Completely different design too, which is kind of odd. That's metal, this seems to be more plastic. All right, let's put it in. It was this fucking thing. This fucking thing the whole time.
So in reality, she didn't need a new steering pump.
Do me a favor, get inside and turn the wheels.
Turn the wheels?
Turn the wheels. The other way. Go straight. So even though she was really quiet afterwards, after a couple of cold starts, one of the other pulleys started making noise, so we ended up changing at least two of them. Another one of the pulleys, another one of the tensioners there. We ended up replacing, and that finally got rid of the noise, and she's nice and quiet now. We also put a new belt on, and man, that sucked. These belts stretch out quite a bit. Removing the old one was super easy. You know, put the tension and it came off. The new one, even stretching it as much as we could barely get it on there. It took 2-3 of us just to get it to slide on. It was a nightmare. So I'm definitely not looking forward to that if I ever bust a belt on the trails. That sucked.
You're on your own.
Now, for those of you guys looking to upgrade the power steering pump on a Gen 1, first of all, I highly recommend it. And there's a couple of reasons why. The stock pumps just don't have enough power and they fail very easily. My buddy John, I think he goes through one every 6 months to a year. That's a nightmare to replace. You don't want to be doing that often. Second, upgrading the pump helps extend the life of the power steering system as well. Most of these upgraded kits come with filters, they come with finned coolers, where they come with larger reservoirs, so you're running more oil, that oil is running cooler, and the filters keep all the metal shavings out of the pump, so that in turn extends the life of the pump and extends the life of the power steering itself too. So they're a worthwhile investment for anybody with the Gen 1, even if you don't off-road. But don't get the house system. Do not get it. I don't care what anybody says about it. Don't get it. It's a good system. It works. It does the job, but it's too loud. You're going down the road, you think your pump is dying. It's not. You make a turn, it groans and growls, and it does it loud. It's embarrassing. It makes you hesitate when you're turning because it's not just a sound. You feel it in the steering wheel. You feel that groan from all the extra pressure. And what it is the pump is just set up too high. The pressure's too high, and because of that, she groans a lot, and I don't recommend it. Best system to get for the Gen 1s, from what I've been reading and from talking to a few shops that actually have installed these and had customers run them, is the Lee Power Steering System. Very similar system. The difference is it uses slightly different fittings, and the pressure is not as high, so the pump isn't loud. The pump isn't loud, it doesn't groan, it sounds more like stock. Much better system, and it gives you all the benefits without the howling. Now, that's not all for this video. We have been taking her off-road, and we've been blown away. The capabilities of this truck are something else. For our first one, we decided to do it with a couple of friends that we know and that we could trust. I didn't want to be responsible for a big group, so we asked Ken, who's Mojave Raptor, and Victor, who's Raptor Envy. Both solid guys have been running with me for a long time, guys that I can trust. We ended up doing a small run, just kind of a shakedown run right after we got the truck back from SVC to see how she was gonna do and shake out any bugs. We also picked a really rough section of trail that, you know, normally we can't go fast because of the obstacles that are there. I really wanted to see what this truck could do, and she did not disappoint. Here we go. The dips that would normally cause our stock Raptors to hit bottom were like nothing to this thing. She just rolled right over them like it was nothing. I was able to run much faster. Things I slowed down for, this truck just rolled over. You guys remember that test area where we did the Raptor TRX comparison, where we were bottoming out the suspensions on this tiny little jump and showing you guys what that was doing? I don't think the tires even left the ground when this truck passed through there, and we were able to carry more speed through there. It was impressive. Now, unfortunately, those trails did get really rough. There was sharp, tire-busting rocks just everywhere from a recent rainstorm. It just washed away the whole trail. There's a lot of sharp rocks on this trail, man.
You got 2 tires, don't cry.
I know, I'm just blown away by how sharp it is today.
Well, if it rained a lot, it exposed all that shit.
Now, do you guys remember the surprise dip test we did with the Raptors and the TRXs and all that stuff? Oh shit! Nothing! That was fucking cool, dude. It was like nothing. Don't forget at 25, Victor, be careful with that surprise dip, man. It always gets everybody.
Copy that.
This did nothing to the truck. Again, it just rolled over it like it was nothing. It was amazing. I don't even think we hit bottom. One thing that I'm finding, guys, as we're starting to get comfortable with the Gen 1 is that I really need to adapt my driving style. The Gen 2 does a lot for you and makes off-roading easy. The Gen 1 is very different. It's more analog. The weight distribution is very different. It's got that big heavy V8. Understeer is a problem as you're going into the turns, so I'm having to relearn how to drive the truck as well as how to read the trails because she can do more. Stuff that I used to slow down, that was gonna bottom out the suspension, I was gonna kiss the lower control arms and damage my skid plate, this thing just rolls over it like it's nothing. It's awesome, dude. It's awesome. I can't explain to you guys how great this mid-travel setup has been so far. Hey, I think one of your lower chase lights is out. Your left one. Ah. Hey man, go ahead and keep going. I just got a flat, so I'm gonna be a bit.
You got a flat?
Yep, I hit a nice little bunch of rocks, and yeah, so I gotta go find a spot to change it. Happens every fucking trip. Look at this one though. Look at that. Holy shit. Look at the damage to the wheel too. I get to change this one on my own. Got guys over there taking care of their kid because he threw up. And we got Victor over there who lost some lights. So I gotta do this one on my own. Fucking A. Getting that flat sucked, guys. It was our first trip out. I'm still not used to this extra width. There was a lot of hidden boulders and rocks, and we ended up hitting a patch of boulders that were hidden on a berm. Not used to the width, and we got a flat. We weren't even going that fast. I think I was maybe doing 30, 40 miles an hour, and I mean, the force from that thing was pretty crazy. Unfortunately, too, after this happened, and I think it was because of this, I don't know if the pressure went up or something, we actually developed a rough idle problem down the road. When I first started her up, she wouldn't idle right, and she kept just shutting off. We couldn't figure out why. But once we got her rolling, she was fine. She acted like normal. It was only when that initial turn on, she was just idling it a little off. Ken had a code reader, so we ended up opening it up to see if it was. She had a bunch of codes. We cleared them. Most of them didn't come back. She was still rough idling, but we figured, fuck it, it was getting dark. Let's get back home, and we'll figure it out that. And she did. She drove all the way home without a problem. And here's what happened the next day when we connected my code reader and started doing some proper troubleshooting. After months of working on it, we finally got it on trails, and she developed a little problem. Basically, every time I first turn her on, she doesn't want to stay on. Okay, let's take a look at these codes. She's got a P017, System 2 Lean. Okay, let's try the good old erase codes. Yeah, let's give it a try. So we still got 3 codes. And she just died. And I think we found our issue. There it is right there. I think this is it. Yep. I think that's it. I think it's sucking up a little bit extra air through here and fucking up that sensor. So we're gonna get that fixed up. Hopefully that's the issue. Okay, we got it all squared away. Hopefully that's it. There she is. It's back to normal. Now that's not the only trails we hit. Next, I decided to do a run that I haven't done in over 2 years. And the reason why we haven't done it is because this is the trails that I lost my 17 Raptor on. I still miss that truck. I didn't do much filming that day because I was just too nervous. I did break out the drone though when we stopped at the talc mines, so I do have some clips of that. I was just too nervous, guys. It's like, you know, going through a little bit of PTSD going through that trail, so I was going fairly slow and being very cautious, and rightfully so. We ended up having another issue with another UTV that was running backwards on the trail in a blind corner, which makes no sense. I don't know why people do this. So that's it for this video, guys, but we're still not done with the rehab of the truck. We absolutely love this truck, so much so that we actually gave her name. She actually has a name now. Her name is Sucia. For the gringos out there that don't know what that means, it means dirty girl in Spanish. Now, because of that, because we're loving this truck, we're really enjoying her off-road. We've been throwing a lot at her, and she's been taking it like it's nothing and driving really well. I think it's time to also invest some proper money in her. So in the coming videos, we're gonna slap the ugly off of her and get rid of the bumpers and give her the Marty McFly treatment. And we're gonna go with custom bumpers. I don't like what's on the market for the Gen 1s. The lines just don't flow right with what I want on my trucks. So we're gonna go with some custom bumpers, both front and back. And you guys know I gotta do the Marty McFly. I have to do the light rack. So next rehab video, guys, Sucia is going into Hannah Racing Design to get a custom front bumper done up and done up right. We're also going to do some proper LCA reinforcement. Now, this is not something that everybody needs, but since my truck is always up the front, I'm going to be doing some proper LCA reinforcement there at the bottom to really strengthen that whole front end for the surprises. And then later on, she'll be going to Westside Off-Road Group to do the rear bumper and give her the rack. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We got a lot of changes coming to the truck. All right, guys, put any questions, comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. Please spread the word for the channel so that we can do more of these videos. Thanks for watching.